because when I just received the negative feedback, my heart was pounding and I couldn't, like, I was just like, I couldn't think of anything else. I remember walking back to my room and I was like, oh my god, I failed, this is terrible, my life is over, man. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna pay for this course? I'm taking the course again. And it was just terrible. I wanted it to stop so bad. Failure and negative feedback. Oh my gosh, those are touchy topics, aren't they? Because they sort of expose us as humans, and we don't like to be exposed, we don't like to be vulnerable, we don't like to sort of talk about things that make us come face to face with the things that we don't like about ourselves, right? So I'm going to touch on that today in this video. I'm going to touch on failure and negative feedback. I had conversations with people that I consider mentors, with my friends and my close friends who are professionals or young professionals. My mentor who has been in the workforce for a little while now and who's very intelligent and I respect so much, and I wanted to get their views because of what happened recently, and I'm going to touch on that in this video. I'm going to take you through the journey. But before I get into it, thank you so much for watching. Genuinely, I really do appreciate it. Please interact with the video. Leave a comment down below, negative, positive, neutral, it doesn't matter. Just interact with the video in any way that you feel is going to be helpful, in any way that you feel that is true to you, right? Usually I'm gonna get into the video. Usually I make videos that are like structured and talk about things like the gender pay gap and all of that. But today I wanted to speak about this because it's been bothering me a lot. Not bothering me, but it's been on my mind a lot. It's been bothering me a lot because what happened recently is, for the first time I had what is called an oral exam. That's a thing in Europe. For those who've watched me before, they know that I'm an exchange student who is currently in Europe, but I'm originally from South Africa. And in my country, we don't have what you call oral exams. Like, exams are like, you go to an exam hall, you write on paper, someone marks it. And even if you fail, you sort of go home and you look at it and you reflect it and you go, okay, I failed. Okay, fine, this makes sense. You know what I mean? Or you go consult. But recently, I think like 2 days ago, I had an oral exam and the person tells you face to face what you've done wrong. And I just sort of had these very intense feelings about it, and I'm gonna get to it. But before then, I also did work in consulting. I worked in one of the big consulting firms, and they sort of are big on like feedback. So I would get negative feedback constantly, and I had this feeling then as well. And I think back then it was sort of easier to like mask it because I'd be like, oh no, this is different, it's a tough working environment. It was just difficult, a difficult study that I was on, whatever, right? And I could just brush it off. But this was something that I thought I was good at. Academia was something I've always been good at, you know what I mean? So now to get negative feedback, and this was a module that I thought I was good at. So it's okay if you don't do well in a module that you're not going to do well in, but when you get negative feedback face to face on something that you were good in, or good at rather, then you're like, oh, this sucks. But I had this oral, and my lecturer, so essentially we talk about the essay that I wrote. So you write an essay and then you discuss it in the oral, and okay, great. And he goes, oh, I don't think this was your best work. I think this is beneath you. I think you wrote this essay very emotionally, and so you didn't make a good argument, and you could have done better, you could have pushed yourself. And I think maybe you're not used to like engaging with the work the way that you were supposed to engage with the work, but I found it to be too easy, and therefore like I know I have to give you like a low mark for this, you know what I mean? And I was just like, and the thing is, before even submitting this essay, so just a bit of context, this is like a course, it's like a history of macroeconomics essentially. So we're just looking at the history of macroeconomics, and all of the models that we learn in macroeconomics are based on, what the West and the Europeans have experienced in their sort of countries or in their economies, and we as Africans apply these models in our day-to-day. And I've had conversation with my lecturer about this specific thing around like this idea that we have people choose to work or not. Like labor supply is a choice. It's either I want to work and I don't. So I made an essay about it. I was like, no, this idea people actually choose to work is false, right? We don't have it in whatever, right? In African countries. And he was like, no, this argument is not like, it's too easy an argument, like, because you always have a choice. You always are optimizing as a person. And I'm like, it's a constraint and whatever, right? Whatever, get into it. And I'm like, okay, fine. I think he made some good points. I really do. I do think he made some good points, but I just think I don't think he even considered what I was trying to say on the essay. And therefore, whatever I did, the feedback was that, and I was shattered. And I spoke to my friends, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna fail this module. You know what I mean? Because like, and I knew I was supposed to write like, I knew maybe I was just supposed to like, you know, impress him and whatnot. And I realized the issue is just that the issue is not what he said to me. What he said to me was based on his professional opinion, because he is a professional, studies for years. But I took it so personally. I was like, oh my gosh, he's like taking a dig at me as like a student. And he did say, he genuinely, to his credit, he did say that, he said like, oh no, you're a smart student, you know, you really did engage with the content in class, but I just think this is beneath you. I'm like, you know what, I could have just taken this as a fact. I am a good student and whatever, you know, but maybe this was my good work, this was my best work, and I don't have any other chance to prove myself again, because this was it, right? And I was just like shattered, and my friends were like, oh no, this happens to us as well, like, you know what I mean? Like, we get negative feedback, and even if it's like the slightest, like even if it's like a little negative feedback, it will sort of like, you know, shatter you because you are so attached to the work. And I'm like, why is it? And the people that I spoke to, granted, they are high achievers. Like my friend and I, one of my good friends and I graduated with distinction at Wits, and we went on to do our honors, and we worked like at this top, like I said, this top consulting firm. So we are sort of attached to our work. Now, if someone criticizes your work when you are attached to it, you feel like they're criticizing you as a person. So it was very painful to hear that. And then I asked my mentor, and I was like, and she is genuinely one of the smartest people I know. She's so good at like a lot of things. She's like she's super intelligent. And she was like, yeah, no, I don't. And I was like, how do you deal with that feeling? And she's like, no, I don't deal with the feeling. Like, the feeling is always gonna be there, but you just have to separate yourself from the feedback. And I was like, yeah, got me thinking. I'm like, you know what? Failure is important. Failure is a part of learning. Failure is a part of us getting better as human beings. But if I cannot deal with it, if every time someone gives me negative feedback and I cannot process it, because you need to process the feedback in order for you to grow from it. But if I cannot process it, then I can't grow from it, and therefore I can't learn from my failures. So the question is, how do we process negative feedback? How do we process negative feedback? I don't know. Do you know? Because I know that failure is good, right? It's a learning process. But how do I sit with it? Because even when someone is telling me this negative feedback, it's sort of like it's like a blur. I don't hear anything. All I'm thinking about is, oh no, I suck. This is terrible. It's terrible. I cannot hear anything. It's like I'm in a trance. And maybe like I should record it and listen to it later so that I can hear it properly. What if I don't agree with the feedback? You know what I mean? So I think we need to have a broader conversation on how to take negative feedback. I'll definitely be thinking about it. I don't know about you. If you've failed before, if you haven't done what you thought was your best work, how did you move on from it? How did you deal with it? You know what I mean? Let's just share ideas, because and maybe there isn't a way to deal with it also. That's also another thing to consider. Maybe you just like accept it. Maybe just sit with it and go, yeah, well, this is it. And you just move on from it. And because even though we have the tools, the feeling itself, I guess you're just going to have to like ride it out. You know what I mean? It's I'm all about mindfulness also. In the mindfulness practice, sort of tell you about if you're experiencing anxiety, you just sit with the feeling. So maybe that's the solution. Maybe the solution is just sitting with the feeling, but I don't know. So I thought I should just, lay this out here. I did make a short about this, but I felt like I had more to say, and I wanted to say it here in case someone else was dealing with the same thing, in case someone else wanted to hear this. But now I feel better, you know what I mean? Now, because when I just received the negative feedback, like my heart was pounding, and I couldn't, I was just I couldn't think of anything else. I remember walking back to my room, and I was like, oh my god, I failed, this is terrible, my life is over, man. What am I gonna do? How am I gonna pay for this course? I'm take the course again. And it was just terrible. I wanted it to stop so bad. I tried distracting myself, I'm gonna watch Law and Order. I'm gonna try watch a nice comedy, and every time I would just think about, oh, this wasn't your best work, this was beneath you, and I would just start crashing out again. that is not helpful at all. So yeah, I don't know. But I hope this was interesting. At least I hope this got you thinking. I know that it got me thinking as well, but let's have open and honest conversations about this. Thank you so much for listening, guys.